Didn't even have THC in it for cotton, hemp fabric. And then next, oh, you can't have a garden. And then next, on and on. Now they move on to you got to have animal ID, premises ID. You got to have inspections. You got to have the rural affairs do this. Certain hair colors, fur types, tails, skeletal structures, and various other characteristics as being indicators of a feral breed. Even though these descriptions also identify many heritage breeds that have been raised in Michigan for decades. In other words, there is nothing sensational or overblown about the claims made that the state of Michigan has basically declared war on all pig breeds, despite the select few raised by large-scale factory farms. The DNR's approach to the situation is beyond misguided. It is blatantly unscientific, an assault on small-scale pig farmers across the state of Michigan, many of which face being completely put out of business. The DNR's thinking is irrational, writes Senator Darwin L. Boer from Michigan's 35th District in a recent article on the issue. The department says that we must ban certain pigs because the state has a feral hog problem. And see, the public is so dumb that when they hear, well, of course we got to kill the feral pigs. Yeah, I've shot plenty of them myself. Instead of that, they're saying we're going to go after and start inspecting your breed. As if you're the people causing this. Pigs have just been getting out for hundreds of years. And the wolves and other predators have been culled too far back, so nothing's keeping the pigs down. And when you drive down the highway and see them all over Texas now, sometimes you see more pigs than deer on the side of the road. Nobody's shooting them. And it goes on. The department says we must ban certain pigs because the state has a feral hog problem. Pigs running at large or outside a fence. But since all pigs outside of a fence are feral and the DNR cannot genetically differentiate between swine, the department decided to ban certain pigs in Michigan simply due to their appearance. So they have a new way to harass you. And it just goes on to say, the senator says there's a way to harass and arrest people and make money. Yep, here they come. They're never backing off. They're never stopping. There's always something new they can make illegal. And they're already talking about not letting you have free-range chickens because they might get out. They might go and take biosphere from some other animal. All right, let me shift gears into government-run health care. They're ruling on it right now. It may have already happened. And it's up in the air what's going to unfold. Supreme Court decision on health care. Again, they're announcing that it's officially will be today now. They were saying earlier in the week, this week. It's now today. And it's also reported that it will not be announced until late June because they have to write the decision. Well, if they do not strike the whole thing down, we are in deep trouble because the whole thing has to be struck down. And the fact that Obama argued that through his lawyers, White House lawyers, that yes, we can also give waivers to whoever we want, that is even more tyrannical. And I've already talked a lot about that. It's just unprecedented to not only have a government mandate on health care written by the insurance companies, it allows the insurance companies and banks that own them to set policy through federal computer systems that will tell doctors and nurses the procedures they can do, just like the VA. Taking that power out of the doctor that knows best at that point what procedure needs to be taken care of. And it cuts off the money at certain ages. And Biden wrote in his book, we're not going to give grandma eye surgery after 65. And you're not going to get heart surgery. You just need to go home and die. This is their plan. This is what they're planning. And the rationing of health care is what goes on in Canada and in England and in Europe and in Cuba. everywhere they've got this is for eugenics. This is so the eugenicist can decide, and so healthcare isn't a free market thing. Healthcare should be completely deregulated, buyer beware, and you go and get whatever you do research and decide, and people will quickly discover who's got the best systems, and that will accelerate medicine. But no, it's big pharma, which are all eugenicists on record, who had the regulations written, were Bayer for 11 years. I always say a decade. It was 11 years. Could ship out in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the U.S., millions of dosages of factor VIII blood product, platelets, sifted out of blood, that they'd mix all the different types together, knowing it was coming from prisons. Bill Clinton was one of the big ones making money off of it. They would sell drugs to the prisoners, and they would give the blood every week until some of them died. Doctors blew the whistles. I had them on. They got firebombed. Oh, yeah, I got firebombed. Robbed, firebombed. Have the Hemophilia Society on, talking about it, and a week later they get robbed. This is my life. This is the government. Remember, that happened in like 99. I tried to call and get those doctors back on. They're like, nope, I'm getting death threats. They firebombed us. They robbed the Hemophiliac Society. We're done. I gave it to Congress. I gave it to the states. Nobody did anything. I'm done. That was a doctor who was working in the prisons. And they knowingly shipped it out to millions of people. Well, it was millions of dosages. It was hundreds of thousands of people. Factor VIII that they knew had HIV and multiple forms of hepatitis, you name it, a death warrant, murder. And it came out that Bayer knew and said, ship it. They didn't just do that because they wanted the money. Do you know about Bayer Pharmaceutical? Do you know about their history? You might want to go look into them. Nazis? Yeah. Bayer. And where did they learn everything they knew? Oh, England, the eugenicist. It's all the eugenicist. And that's why yesterday, whenever one of my IT people, one of 6, great crew member, was called in by the FBI because a year ago he did some websites for the biggest bar owners in town who've been arrested. Government claims they're involved in narcotics and stuff. And they call him in, and I said, you do whatever you want, but if they bring me up and start saying you're a criminal and trying to associate with me, look out. And sure enough, it went into that, them trying to turn him into some type of informant and telling him he's a criminal when he'd done nothing. That's why he went in there. He's like, well, I haven't done anything. I'll just go in there and talk to him. And then it turned around to me, and that's why I went on air and said, don't you dare think about trying to turn my employee into some type of informant for you and then set me up. We're looking for that. And whether or not they really are criminals, these particular FBI agents, I don't know. I've got their names. I got to look into them. All I know is you work for a Justice Department that shipped guns into Mexico that have killed thousands of people conservatively in Mexico, hundreds on this side, 6 law enforcement people, 3 Border Patrol, 3 police, last time I checked. It's always growing. That's what we know. And no one got in trouble, and the government ships the drugs in on record. And we just had a piece of equipment or something go out. That was weird. I just got some feedback. So all of that is going on. And so it's like the time the FBI was calling me about some stuff on the message board, comments. And it was like, why are you bringing up the Obama deception to me? Why? I mean, you're wanting to know about somebody who made comments on the website. If you want to get those records, get a subpoena, and they did. Why are you using this as a dragnet into my life? I'm not doing anything wrong. Even though you guys are constantly passing kangaroo laws to grab as many of us in your net as you can, even with all the laws the way they are, I sat there this morning and thought, is there anything I'm doing wrong? And I'm like, no. Speeding? It doesn't matter. The system will make up whatever they want. That's why I'm not for the death penalty anymore. I believe child molesters, killers need to be executed, but you can't trust a government that we've now learned in some cases more than a third of the people on death row are totally innocent, and the system knows. It came out from a prosecutor in Round Rock that this guy had been in jail for decades, and they knew who the killer was, but for their careers, they just said, keep the innocent person in jail. And then when it came out, they did it. This is just north of Austin, where I live. No one even got in trouble. I mean, that's why I don't trust any of you. That's why I expect the worst, because the system wants to make us think we're the bad people and we've all done something wrong. Meanwhile, they're the group that has to be watched. They're the group that can't be trusted. Government is like fire. It's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. You know, I see encouraging signs like the judge for the second time in a row saying release Atari. They were totally set up, that militia. I knew that day one. It's a shake and bake setup deal, just to demonize the Second Amendment and freedom, and to create an atmosphere of the government waging war on the American people. That's a good sign. A bunch of states are passing laws or have already passed laws saying police don't secretly arrest citizens, don't help the feds. In fact, arrest feds if you see them doing it. Kidnapping's illegal. I mean, that's government kidnapping under NDAA. People are taking action. If the Supreme Court rules that this is unconstitutional, man, I want to win. I want to turn things around. I want to believe the FBI is good. I want to believe my local police are good. Show me. Show me. I haven't seen a lot of that in my life. All I see is a system always trying to treat me like I've done something. I can't fly to see family and people with my children because I don't want men grabbing my daughters and my son's genitals. That's a no-brainer. It turned out the TSA has files on me and others. Bob Barr's got the intel suing over it. And I'm called an extremist and dangerous because I don't want my children molested? I mean, come on. Sanity is not a crime. Legalize freedom. And the Supreme Court did rule the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. They added a little proviso that there could be some regulation, but I mean, it wasn't a total attack. So we can win this thing, but we got to recognize good from evil.
Folks, Iran and the Mideast nuclear.
Dr. Doug Rokke is coming up, Max Keiser and Fritz Springmeier at the 5 after. But right now, I want to show you one of the best places to go on Infowars.com. It's the RSS feed. I've had it for like a decade. I never really talk about it enough. I'm going to go ahead and put that RSS feed up on screen for Prisonplanet.tv viewers, because I want to just read over some of these headlines for folks. Every day, a new elitist fairy tale. Now they want Earth Hour, where they make you pause and get government brainwashing. Can't make that up. Why would Health and Human Services and every other subsection of Homeland Security, that's right, there's 30 plus agencies